Hello again, it's Jimmy here at O'Reilly. So I have here a Peugeot Boxer van that we're just having a look at. I've already had a quick look over it and I'll talk you through what I've found and what the vehicle's here for. So it's had some DPF cleaning at other garages elsewhere, and the problem keeps coming back. So most of the time the problem comes back within sort of 10 minutes. He's had a DPF clean and then 10 minutes later the light comes back on. It keeps saying drive to clean. He's tried driving at 100 miles and so, and it doesn't work. He's had the DPF clean, I think he said 2 or maybe 3 times, but the problem is just persistent. So he's brought it down to me to see if I can sort out what's going on with it. Okay, so this has got 89,000 miles. We'll start it up. Engine management light on there. So if we hold the revs up there, you can see it says check engine, and just in a minute it will say DPF clean and drive to clean. Well, it was saying that earlier. So if we look on our scan tool here, it's the X431 Euro from launch. We've got these fault codes here: P2463, P246C, P24A4 particulate filter. That's all it says. Alright, so if we come to the data stream, go to exhaust line information 2, select all of these, come here. So the average distance in the last regens were 81 kilometers. So that tells me a big story. It tells me that the DPF itself is worn out, or it's full of ash, or possibly melted. But we need to remove the DPF to see why is it regenerating every 81 kilometers. Mostly on these, I know why. It's because it's full of ash from the Eli's tank. Then, alright, distance remaining until the DPF should need to be replaced is 52,000 kilometers. Some will go way beyond that. Some won't. But the DPF itself on this looks to be in okay condition from what I can see so far. Apart from obviously it's possibly full of ash. So the on-car cleans hasn't been working because of this issue. If it's got ash, on-car cleaning doesn't work. So we've got a 35 millibar pressure here on the DPF. If we hold the revs up to 2500 RPM, we've got 140. We'll let that go. Okay, so if we look on the exhaust line for weight information 1, aging of the particle filter is at 0%. Total weight of the additive, this is the Eli's additive, deposited in the DPF is at 55 grams, so that's quite high. If we come back from here, what else have we got? We've got exhaust line information 3. There's not really much on there, to be honest, to look at. So what does that live data information tell me? It tells me that the vehicle is trying to do a regen every 80 kilometers. So there's no issue with the vehicle trying to do a regen. It's just an issue that after it's finished regening, the pressure isn't dropping, and it shortly afterwards needs to do another regen, and it's just repeating that process, and it's the DPF is never actually getting clean. So we can see by looking in the actual exhaust here that if we rub our finger in there, it's not black, it's nice and clean. So the DPF isn't cracked, it's not passing soot. So if it's not passing soot, that's good news. It means the DPF isn't broken, it doesn't need replacing. We just need to take it off, clean it. The only one small risk that we can't tell until we get the DPF off is the face of the DPF melted. It's not likely. I'm not sure if we can get down to the face. Actually, yeah, no, we can't. We can't get to the face of the DPF from this. This has got a DPF. So if I use my hand here in the center of the screen, one side we've got a DPF, one side we've got a catalyst. So you've got a gap between it like that, so you can't actually physically see the face of the DPF. But we'll put it in our machine, we'll reverse flush it, and then we should see the pressure come down. The one other thing on these vans, what a lot of people seem to forget about, is under here, right there, you got an Eli's tank that needs to be filled up with your fluid. So Peugeot have designed these vans to run on an Eli's tank. It needs the Eli's tank to regenerate the DPF. So the DPF will regen at a slightly lower temperature because it's further away from the engine. The temperature can sort of decrease as it gets to the DPF, and it doesn't get hot enough. So it needs that Eli's fluid to actually get the DPF to do its regen. I have seen a lot of vans run fine without it, but it's recommended that you put it in, so Peugeot recommend it. I mean, like I said, I've seen some vans not run without it for 50,000 miles and it has worked, but if you want the van to run how it should, we should fill that tank up and obviously put a new DPF on, or in my case, remove it, back flush it and fit it back to the van. Once it's cleaned, it will be as good as a new one. Okay, so here we are under the van here. There's your rear centre of the exhaust there, rear back box. Over here is the DPF, this big long one. Got a clamp here and a clamp up the front, and then there's some rubber mounts that hold it in place up there. We've just got to remove some of these clamps and then get the whole unit out of the van basically. So if we come under the front here, there's a clamp right there. That's just above the subframe here. So if we're looking back this way, that's where we are. Use a little tool there to just open the clamp up. Just goes in there and that spreads that clamp open. Just like that. One good thing, like I've probably mentioned in my videos before, one good thing about these vans, Ford Transits, the DPF isn't impossible to remove, roadside especially. I mean, a lot of new cars, the DPF, to remove them, it doesn't make financial sense, I suppose is the word, is it? But like Vivaros, Renault Trafics, to remove the DPF is so much work. It almost doesn't really make sense to remove it, to clean it. It's not really worth the risk. Whereas on these, if we put it on and find out the pressure's still not dropping, it's not such a big deal. An hour we can have it back off again. Okay, so here is the DPF removed from the van. These are your mounting plugs. Obviously these, just talk you over the design of it here really. So this is where it comes off the turbo down. You got your AdBlue injector here. These are your pressure pipes, what reads the differential pressure of the DPF. So you got one, so like I talked about here, you got a catalyst and you got a DPF. So this one reads the pressure before the DPF, this pipe comes in after the DPF. So if you got low pressure here, high pressure here, that's how it reads that there's a blockage in this section. Okay, these pressure pipes, just so we don't get fluid coming out, we're just going to block them off with a piece of tube, just like this. So here is the rear exit of the exhaust, so you can see it's nice and clean, so we know there's no damage, no soot on it. We're going to put this connector in here, just tighten it down. Okay, here we have a pressurized water tank that connects in here. So what that does is we push water in, we wait until there's a build-up of water in there, then we push air and water. This sort of circulates the air and water together, pushes it back. So this is going reverse flush. This is pushing the soot back where it came from, basically, out that way, and any of the ash. Usually we get a lot of ash from these. This is ash, this red stuff. This is from the last one we just done. Again, because people always ask, the model number of this machine is a DCS16 and it's from Carbon Clean Company. I'll put the link in the video description in there where you can buy it from, their website. And now we can see we're starting to get some soot come out from the rear of the exhaust. So what we're going to do is turn the machine on and we're going to press the green button here. I don't know if it's on now, is it? Press the green button. Okay, now that we've got it all switched on, we need to press. We're going to get a big splash come out, just like that. You'll see red ash coming out in there, and then it comes out into our little bucket here. Okay, now we've got more water coming out. You can see the red ash just making its way down there. Again, we're going to give it another blast, and soon you'll see the colour of this changing from a dark red to a clear. So you can switch this to an automatic setting, and you can timer it to 10 seconds, 20 seconds or 30 seconds or even a minute intervals, where it will just manually blast air through, just like that. The only thing is, it does make a bit of a mess, but we can clean it up. And we've just done another one. We'll just keep repeating this process maybe 10 times until it's clean. See, we'll slightly see the colour changing as we do each sort of flush. see you got the black soot and then that red ash mixing together. It's kind of crazy really, like you see the red ash. I mean, for years, 10 years I've been cleaning DPFs on the car, and you don't realise the difference in cleaning them on a machine, how different it is. You don't see that red ash on a standard clean. So I'll tell you what, it's a messy machine, but it actually does the job perfect. We see DPFs that come to us 200,000 miles, you flush them back down to 1 or 2 millibars of pressure, no ash, all of the ash come out into that bucket. It's messy, but it does the job. As a mechanic, what doesn't make mess? Everything. After a dozen flushes, it's still coming out red. Definitely clearing up a little bit though. And we're beginning to run clear, just about. If we look in at the end of the exhaust there, we'll start to see the fluid coming out in just a minute. There it comes. It's still slightly red, but it's clearing up. And we just blast it again. Right, that's another flush. That's 80 litres of water that's gone through there. So here we have the Eli's tank, or pat fluid tank, also known as. We've removed that from underneath the van. We just gravity fill it with this fluid. It's Eli's pat fluid. It just goes in down the tube, fill that tank up. Takes about 1.5 litres, but you can manage to squeeze 2 litres in there. So that is the tank I spoke about, which is underneath the passenger side of the van. Just here, we've disconnected that. There's your little electrical connector and fuel line connector just there. And it just bolts up with a few bolts into that section right there. Okay, so now it's just a case of putting this back together. See, we've got a couple of bolts here. That just goes back up under there. Bolt on that side, 2 on that side, and then your connectors back under here. And like I said, just goes directly up there. DPF can all be put back together like this, and it just basically bolts back on in reverse the same way it came off. Clamps, holders, clamps on each end, and it'll be back on. Once this is all fitted back on, we'll get back to you with the diagnostic side of it. I mean, fitting is just like, it's pretty basic, don't need to go through all that with you. But the main thing what most people want to see is the computer side of it. How do you reset it? How do you know what values are what? And we'll go through all that once we've got it fitted. Okay, now that it's all been fitted back together, we're going to do some of the programming. I'm going to come back to special function, spare part, work on the emissions, particle filter replacement, switch the ignition on. We'll start the engine. I'll let that idle for 1 minute. Next step is ignition off and wait for 30 seconds. Okay, now that's successfully reinitialized. We need to now go to the additive tank. Do that one. This is the Eli's tank, or pat fluid tank. No, we don't need to start that again. We can hear that the pat fluid tank is now activated. So I don't know if, hope you can hear that on the camera. You can hear the tank ticking. Okay, now we're going to come back to check the fault. Sometimes the fault codes will clear once you've done those parameter resets there, just so they have cleared. Now we can come back to the data stream. If I just show you a few bits and pieces. So the distance now will be increased on that, and right, so we've got particle filter pressure, and that one, they should all be reset. So we've got 500 there, 210,000 kilometers, and particle filter was changed 0 kilometers ago. So now we just need to get this DPF pressure down by holding the revs up. So we have got some water in there which will when you've got condensation in the DPF, it will create extra pressure, so we'll just burn that off for 5 minutes. Hold the revs there. See, now you'll gradually see this graph start to come down. We want it to come down between 30 to 60 millibars. So we did get the DPF light back on, you see there? Because we just, what we'll need to do in a minute, once the pressure's come down, is just, all we need to do is just clear the fault code. So we hold that for a couple of minutes, this pressure will come down. Basically now we're just drying out the DPF. Okay, so we can see now, about a minute or two later, we're down to 50 millibars so far. That will continue to come down. Let's let it idle now for a minute and see where we are. So we're still on 10 to 11, it's a little bit too much still. And you can see this is the additive tank. So we've got 2.6 litres in there, 2600 millimeters, or sorry, is that millimeters? Hang on, let me just go back and check. Well, I'm not sure, but yeah, it's full tank anyway. Right, so that's been done. We just need to come back here now for a minute, clear the fault codes. Okay, so we just cleared the fault code now. Now we shouldn't get the DPF warning up anymore. Now the pressure has come down. Let's just get the pressure up, differential pressure, and we'll start the engine again. Hold the revs back up to 3. It's going to go past 3 now, because we're no longer in restricted performance or limp mode. So if we hold it round about where it was, we've now got 40 millibars of pressure. Okay, final result now. We are at hovering around between 1 to 3 millibars at idle. Let's rev it up. 2,500 RPM again, where we were before. We are going past that now because obviously we're not in restricted performance anymore, like I said. We are on 15. It's a bit lower than you'd expect even. But yeah, that will increase a little bit in a minute. Okay, we're going to let him take it out for a test drive, do sort of 10 miles in it, and then come back and we'll just rescan it, make sure everything looks okay. Okay, we're at 32 millibars. That's exactly where we want it to be. So that's a success. Test drive's done. Just confirmed that we haven't got any more fault codes. We've got a temporary fault for P2463. So I think we'll clear that again and we'll just do another test drive to confirm. Okay, we're going to do one more test run on that, just make sure that that temporary code doesn't come back. Do a longer test drive this time. I'm in the middle of doing this Mercedes here as well, so I'm trying to run back and forth between the two cars. Okay, back from the test drive. No DTCs on it. I think what happens is sometimes if you clear the code too quickly before it's actually done your test drive and everything, they can come back until the pressure has actually... I think I've already showed you the pressures. Yeah, we have. So we're at 35 at 3000 RPM and we are at 2 or 3 at idle. So yeah, we can end that. And that's it, we're basically all done. So that's it, we're all done on that Peugeot Boxer Luton van. See you in the next video.